The following is a presentation of the Missouri Sports Network.
Welcome back to the Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. Presented by Central Bank of the Ozarks, Doak Propane, Labor's Local 663, the Bank of Billings, Shelters Insurance Agents, Grant Baker in Aurora, Sean Holman in Lockwood, Great Southern Bank, and Chevy Dealers of the Ozarks. Pleased to be joined now as we approach the semifinals here taking place in Springfield, Missouri. Delta Lady Cats head coach David Heeb, 27-1 on the season. Coach Heeb, thanks so much for your time today.
Yeah, I'm really glad to join you. I've followed you on Twitter for years, and so it's a pleasure to be talking to you.
You bet, Coach. And also on the screen from 106.1 FM, Pure Country C106, KWKZ.com, Matt Brucker, who will be on the call for the game. Matt, we appreciate you kind of helping set this up.
Very good, Guy. I appreciate it. And I know Coach Heeb's busy. He's got a school board meeting tonight and a lot more. So I was glad we got this together because myself and Coach Heeb, we both know it. And now you do. We love talking basketball. We especially love talking about Delta. So to get our little school on the map is pretty cool, man.
Well, and Coach Heeb, you're in your fourth year. There's the head coach. And Matt mentions a board meeting. You're also the superintendent.
Yeah, I'm the superintendent. I coach the girls here. I occasionally sweep the floor. I make popcorn at home games, and so just a little bit of everything.
Well, tell us a little bit of just first off about your background, where you went to high school and college, and how you arrived there at Delta.
Well, I'm an alumni. I went to high school at Scott County Central. So if you're going to grow up to be a basketball coach, I had Ronnie Cookson as my head coach. I grew up. We won the state championship every year I was in school from 1st to 7th grade. And so we just grew up going to the state tournament every year. Matter of fact, this first game we're playing at the Hammond Student Center out there, I was a little boy back in 1986 in the 3rd grade, sitting up in those same seats watching Scott County Central play against Fred Johnson and Wellsville Middletown in triple overtime. And my cousin was the best guard. He was all-state guard on that Scott County team. And so growing up, watching those great teams, playing for Coach Cookson. At the time, we also had a girls coach there by the name of Danny Farmer. Coach Farmer's went on to win several state titles. He's went on to Charleston after he left there. So I grew up just in the middle of this. And then when I started coaching, I started out at Bell City, and we went to the Final Four 3 times and won it twice back in the early 2000s. And then shifted gears and went and coached college for a couple years, and then made a sharp left-hand turn into school administration. And I was at Prairie Home before I came here to Delta. I was a superintendent there. I wasn't coaching at all. Our school made the Final Four a couple years ago with 6 players on the roster. I don't know if you were there or familiar with that, but we actually made it to the Final Four with 6 kids. So I got to go as an administrator and got to go up there. That was a lot more enjoyable. You weren't watching film until midnight, until your eyes bleed and all that stuff. And so anyway, I came back here to Delta. My mom and my stepdad live here in Delta. My stepdad is the Baptist preacher here at Delta First Baptist Church. And so my dad lives in Chaffee, which is 4 miles up the road. This was just a move back home. And when I came here, they asked me to coach this group of girls. I'd had a lot of success coaching, and this group of girls that's coming up, they thought could be pretty good, but they actually did not have a team for the 2 seasons prior to this group of seniors when they were freshmen. I guess it would have been when they were in 7th and 8th grade. Delta did not finish the season with the varsity basketball team. So when we only have one of those seniors left, Kendall Hallweg, when Kendall was a freshman, we had 5 freshmen on the team, 1 sophomore, 1 junior, 1 senior, and 0 varsity minutes on the team. And so we had literally, on our front of our shirts, it says started from the bottom. We literally started from the bottom with this group of kids.
Yeah, you were 9-14 that season. Now you're 27-1. And let Matt here jump in. He knows a little bit more of the history there, being from there, and let him kind of give some insight here.
Coach Heeb, he talks about quite literally starting from the bottom, and to watch this growth over the few years. Coach, you'll remember the first year I did my little sports talk show, I sent a thing out to you, and you told me the goal that season was to win a state championship. And whenever I first read that, I have to admit I started laughing a little bit. And you kind of laid it out for me. You said there are teams out there, about 3 or 4 at the most, especially at Class 1, that really have the horses that could win a state championship. There are another 4 or 5 that could pull off an upset here or there along the way, but can't go win however many it takes in a row. And once you laid that out to me that way, it kind of made a little more sense. And now watching you get even better the next year, last season, coming up just short in the quarterfinal round, South Iron then went on and finished 4th in the state. Well, if you had gotten past them, who's to say that you hadn't been that one team that could have won it all, but South Iron was one of those that was just under that could pull an upset here or there.
Exactly.
And now this year you get back to the Final Four by waxing. I don't want to say waxing, but it wasn't really as close of a game as the score looked like in that South Iron game in the quarterfinals. So talk about that and what you've been through the last 365 days trying to get back to that game against South Iron.
Yeah, and you make a great point, even going back to your comment. That's always been my philosophy. We won the state title in 02 and 04. The year in between, in 03, we led the state in scoring. We had a great team, and definitely were one of the 2 or 3 that could have won it. But we just tripped in the sectional game, lost by 2 to a group in that next tier. They probably couldn't win the whole thing, but on a given night, they could have beat anybody in the state, and they just happened to catch us. And so, that's what the last year, or really 2 years, has been like for us. We lost that quarterfinal game last year by 2, but if you go back to the year prior when Kendall was a sophomore, we won our district and we were playing some good ball. The week of the district tournament, we had 11 varsity players that year, and 10 of them were freshmen and sophomores. We had 1 senior, 10 freshmen and sophomores.
Coley Blattle was your senior.
Yeah. Coley Blattle was our only senior. Great kid. Her mom's our math teacher here. But that group of kids, we had 8 of the 11 get the flu the week of the district. Our leading scorer had her appendix removed the night before the district championship. We had to play the district championship without her. And so that team had all this adversity. We go into the sectional game against Naylor. We had the lead in the 3rd quarter, but we were just so shorthanded. Naylor won. They get to South Iron in the quarterfinal. They've got a 6-point lead with a minute to go. Coulda, shoulda, woulda won that game. South Iron hit back-to-back threes to force overtime, and they get, so we were that close when these kids were freshmen and sophomores.
Right.
And then last year, it was just painfully close. We lose by 2 in a game where we go 11 of 22 at the foul line. Right there, you could have won the game. Where we give up some soft offensive rebounds. Right there, you could have won the game. We have some inexplicable turnovers. Right there, you could have won. And I just, for the last year, that's what we have talked about is if you play just a good game, you're going to win. And then, of course, in between here and there, Matt, we added a pretty good freshman to this group, and Jade Berry, who, I call her the real deal Holyfield. I mean,
you called her the best 8th grader in America ahead of last year's season. So you knew it coming out of her 7th grade year into her 8th grade year. You called her the best 8th grader in America.
Yeah, she's part of a basketball family. They live, I could probably throw a rock from here and hit their house. They live so close to the school. So those kids are always up here. They're always wanting to be in the gym. Of course, you covered Eric, her older brother, who was a starting point guard, all-state player for us a couple years ago on that boys team that led the nation in scoring. They were just go, 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 and Eric was the one driving that engine. Then her older sister, Sierra's a junior on our team, one of the most important players on our team. And then here comes Jade as a freshman. She's just got a basketball IQ, just out of this world because she's grown up playing against all those brothers and sisters. She's got a little brother, Isaiah, that's an 8th grader. It's going to be a really, really good player here for the next 4 years. So it's just a basketball family. You got the Berries, you got the Hallwegs, and then we've just got a lot of other kids here that are legacy kids. Lacey Blattle, her mom and dad both played basketball here. Terriana Crowden, Addison Crowden. We've got, the Crowdens are a big name here in Delta. I mean, it's just, like the Porters or the Timmons at Scott County Central. It's just we have a lot of Delta families, Delta names that their parents played here, their grandparents played here, their aunts played here, their uncles played here. And it's just, you get a team like this every so often in a little school where they're all at this, like, I don't know if it's a cold winter or what, but they're all the same age. And so they just came along at the right time.
And we saw this back in while you were over at Bell City, there was a little pipeline going at Delta with underneath the coach Randy White and assisted by Gary Pointer, 3 Final Four trips in a span from 03 to 08 or something along those lines. However many straight district titles they won, 6 out of 8 quarterfinals in a row. And, it was the same kind of thing back then. And like we've talked, you see those alumni in the stands cheering you on the other day out at Van Buren. You talked about it at the Holiday Classic up here in Cape, how those teams never got a chance to play in that because it was full at the time. And you guys go up there and run up against Jackson, beat them by 15, played tight with Notre Dame all the way through to the end of the championship game of that one. You're playing for more. Delta's never won a state title. They've been to the Final Four 4 times, now 5. You're playing for the alumni too, you've told me.
Well, yeah, I'm married to one of them. And so,
right, of course.
If God forbid we would get to Leeton in the championship game and they beat us, Leeton is who beat my wife and my sister-in-law back in 2000. I guess it was 5 or 6 or whatever it was. So I would have to sleep on the couch if I let Leeton win. And
I see.
But yeah, they, the alumni are a big deal here. A lot of them have kids, on this team. I mentioned Jody Blattle, our math teacher, maiden name Ballou. That's another big Delta name here, the Balloos. A lot of, grandparents and aunts and uncles. And like I said, she's one of our teachers, was one of the great players to come through here. Her daughter's one of our starters. It just means so much to them. And it's just a unique place. I mean, Delta has always had a great reputation as a school district, just academically, just what type of school. Matt, you went to school here and the teachers we've got here, like John Weber, Gordon Walton, people that have been here for 20 plus years. We just have a great staff, great faculty. And then on the athletic side, they've had runs where they were really good for one reason or another. When I got here, it was just on hard times, but I knew the families involved and that they would support, this level of work. And our principal, Scott Crabtree, always refers to him. He says they're like the basketball version of the Navy SEALs. I mean, it's just the hardest working group that I have ever been around. And I told people about 2 years ago, I said, I think this could be the best team I've ever had. And when I said that, people looked at me like I was crazy because I've had some really good teams. But I said
they remember the Bell City teams with Dom Johnson and those guys. I mean,
we had those great teams, but I've never had a team where the first 7 kids could guard the best player. And this team could do that. I've never had a team where the first 9 kids have been the leading scorer in a different game. I mean, so it's just not that we're unbeatable or not that, we walk on water or anything like that. But when you see them come out and shoot layups and you look down there, you're just like, that's it. They're all like 5'7", then they're not very big. We don't have anybody that's imposing or anything like that, but just wait for that game to start. And once they get going, when they get in their high gear, when they find that flow, I believe that our A game is a higher ceiling than anybody, maybe up there this weekend in any class. Now, the trick is, can you find the gas pedal and get there? Because the other teams, they're trying to stop you from doing that, obviously.
Everybody talks about your offense, 84 some odd points per game. You told me, according to Max Preps, you're number 2 in the country on that outside of a school of Minnesota. And you'd play them if they'd meet you halfway, you told me. But, everybody talks about the high scoring, but the defense of your team is the key. And whenever you run into, say, high-level talent, high-level teams around here, you held Notre Dame, Class 5, state ranked, probably going to make it to the Final Four themselves, to 54 points one time you played them. The other time it was 55, I think, or something like that. So, you held Jackson to 53. That's probably roundabout, maybe under those teams' average. That's Class 6 Jackson, Class 5 Notre Dame. When you all are successful and run into high-level teams, your defense is what keeps you, so to speak, on top of those. Because you can score with anybody. Everybody knows that. But if you couldn't play defense, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, our defense is where it starts for us. I mean, we drill that from the time that they're little, and Kendall is our only senior left on the team. She's a Division I track athlete. I mean, she's as good an athlete as there is in this part of the state on the female side. She can press and run and do all that with the best of them. And then, of course, we start a freshman and 2 sophomores that are going to be just they're all going to be all-state kids by the time they get out of here. They're going to be awesome players. But the guts and the DNA of our team is our junior class. That's a class with 5 kids in it. They're the kids that when I got here, I had in my mind, we've always been a pressure team, kind of a man-to-man pressure, a 2-2-1 pressure, but just something where we're going to pick you up full court. And I had in my mind that we were going to play a lot of full court man. The first week of practice when Lacey and Sierra, Allie, that whole group of juniors were in 8th grade, we played all man, and we're just getting after it. And then one day I dropped them in that press, that 2-2-1 press that we've always run. And they just took to it like a duck on a June bug, man. They got in this press, and it was like with that group, they are so good at it. And I always tell this story. We went down to East Prairie. It was the first game I ever coached here. It was a 7th and 8th grade game. Jaden Presley played in the 7th grade game. We were up like 50-4 at halftime. And so I sat them the whole second half and let the other kids play. And then they moved up and played with the 8th graders in the 8th grade game. Jade was just a 6th grader then. And we're up 4-0, and East Prairie called a timeout. And they bring all 4 players up to break that press. And I didn't tell them to do this. When they walked back out there and they brought all 4 players up, they just all went up there and guarded all of them. Sierra Berry's the one that did it. I give Sierra a ton of credit for this. But again, Sierra's maybe the best defender in this part of Southeast Missouri. Sierra went up there and did that. I never told her to do that. But once she did it and I saw how it worked, I never told them not to do that. And so the press, some people say, is that a 1-2-2? Is it a 2-2-1? It's just a press. I mean, like they are going to match up. It's like a living, breathing organism. It's a member of the team and they will match up to whatever you do. If you bring 3, if you bring 4, we'll figure out a way to match up to it, or we'll figure out, you know what, we're going to let you catch it over here and just trap you over there instead. And, or we may just not trap at all and just play man to man. I mean, they have a PhD in this press. We can deny, we can not, we can trap the first pass. We can take the first pass away. We can, what we call bail out and watch the pass behind us. I mean, but the reason we have to do that, Matt, is what you just said. We play Jackson. We play Notre Dame. We play Orion. We play Neelyville. We play New Madrid County Central. We don't play a single 1A school all year until we get to district tournament. So,
again, visiting with Delta Lady Cats head coach David Heeb, and now you're coming in here to and you talk about the history there and the families there. You're taking on a Walnut Grove team with a similar background. There's been a number of Harmons run through that area. They've went on. They played collegiately and come back and Coach Roy Henry's been there 15 years. He's been to 10 of the last 12 Final Fours and 9 of the last 10.
Yeah.
What do you know about Walnut Grove, and what are you going to have to do to come out on top on Friday?
Well, the first thing I'll probably do is bring an ink pen and ask Rory for his autograph. I've never met him, but he's a great coach, and total respect for him and his program. Obviously, everybody would aspire for their program to do what he has been able to do there. And, like you just said, I remember, coming to the state tournament and watching the Harmon sisters play. I remember watching Faith Gilkey play and the different kids that he's had. And, he's had a lot of good players, but you still got to get there. I mean, to get there that many times is just a tremendous accomplishment by a coach and a program. It tells you that they do things a certain way. And again, I grew up at Scott County Central and having grown up and seen something like that firsthand, you don't take that for granted because it's just every year you're getting everybody's best shot. And so we know coming into this game, some people may, look at the records and look at the scoring or whatever and favor us. We're not talking like that in our gym. I promise you. I mean, we know that guy's a great coach. He's going to have a plan. They're not going to roll over and quit. The same stuff that's inside of us that wants to compete and thinks that we're champions and all that. They have the same stuff inside of them. And so, we're excited to get to come. I'm excited to get to play against them. We like playing against the best. And so we're looking forward to it.
What are your travel plans like? When are you guys heading out or heading up? I guess you're probably
We'll
200,
we'll leave.
250 miles.
Yeah, we'll leave Thursday morning. I think they've got the fire department and the Cape County Police and everybody coming to see us off. Trying to make a big deal about it. But we'll leave tomorrow. It's about a 4-hour drive for us to get out there. We'll get out there to the hotel. We've got a place to practice out there. I've got a lot of coaching friends out there in that part of the state, and you make connections and you find somebody's gym, somebody will let you get in there and shoot a little bit, and so. But to be honest, most of the preparation is done. Nowadays, it's just different. The first year that I went to the Final Four back in 2002, you had to trade VHS tapes, and so somebody would have to physically mail you a film. And it's not going to get there in time because you play your quarterfinal on Saturday. And, by the time you ask for the thing, you're leaving Thursday morning. You might be lucky if it come in the mail Wednesday morning. So you're having to literally drive. I remember I met Brad Stewart from Verona years ago. He drove across the state and I met him with the film. He needed some scouting help. Now with Huddle and all this stuff, you don't have to do that. So, you can trade film in 10 seconds. And so we've got, probably 10 of their games. We've seen a lot of their games. We got everything on Leeton. We've got everything on Platte Valley. We've been doing our homework all week, just trying to prepare for what if we play everybody. But most of the preparation's done. We'll practice today here for the last time. This will be our last practice in this gym with this group of kids, and then get on the road in the morning.
You bet. Well, Coach, I certainly appreciate you being generous with your time, especially with your administrative duties that you've got with a board meeting coming up and things of that nature. I look forward to meeting you. I am a host for Misha, so I'll be kind of around on the floor and just kind of walking around, and I will make my way over to you with an ink pen as well. And
Yeah. Yeah. No, you don't want my autograph. You'd probably lose money with that guy. So, but I would look forward to meeting you. Walk over there and shake my hand.
You bet. And Matt Brucker with 106.1 FM Pure Country. I greatly appreciate you helping set this up. This is episode, I think this is 265 shows that we've done since July 1, and couldn't do it without just the folks that have really been integral in helping set things up. And I greatly appreciate your role in getting this set up.
Well, hey, man, I appreciate it. It's been fun reaching out to me on this. Hey, if you ever need something with Delta, you know how to get a hold of me.
You bet. You bet. You're watching the Missouri Sports Network at MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. Have a great day. Safe travels. And as always, the Missouri State Highway Patrol reminds us, take that 3 seconds and buckle up. It's 3 seconds that could save your life. Be safe, be smart, and be here tomorrow.